Hey, everybody. Good Thursday evening to you. How are you? It is good to see you, and it is good to be seen by you. Welcome to the show. Welcome, 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 one and all. I, of course, am the one and only Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver, coming to. Oh, what happened there? There we go. Coming to you live from an undisclosed location here in the sunny swamps of Central Florida. And I hope you're having a good one today. I'm here and I'm glad you guys are too. Rory, Kabuki Kid, Mike Wilson Art, Vinny Finnegan, how are you? I hope everyone is doing fine on this somewhat chilly, as you can tell by my accoutrement, Thursday evening. And boy, do we have a show for you guys tonight. We've got stuff. Hey, Praxis, good to see you. Savo, how are you? Good, Savo. Nope, not Okefenokee. By the way, Florida gets a mention in an H.P. Lovecraft story. It is actually set in Florida. I believe it's the voice from the tomb or the voice from the crypt. Or is it the statement of Randolph Carter? Oh, it's a statement of Randolph Carter. It's a good one. Do recommend it. But anyhow, see, Mage's Musings ran B3 for AD&D groups. It played well, better than it presents. So we'll see. Hello, Wheeling Dragon. Good to see you. We're gonna get into the line item. It's not. We're not gonna go line by line. When I sat down and I really cracked them open, because 99% of my reading of B3 was the orange B3, the unexpurgated, the unchanged B3. And the experiences are very different. They're very different experiences, and we will see that when we get into that. Savo said it's the H.P. Lovecraft story where Cthulhu gets an honorary degree from Central Florida State University and the keys to Miami. Oh, you're so close. UCF, University of Central Florida, is a state university here. But it is called the University of Central Florida. Mage says, oh, well, you want an update on that? Well, I'll tell you about it. I am still contemplating. I need to go back and I need to look through, because actually the outreach, it wasn't huge, which makes it both better and worse. So I'll have to I'll have to look back through at various social media outlets and see who's reached out to me. But I'm honing in. But no, a decision hasn't been made. A decision hasn't been made. Hey, David Brown, Doc Flamingo, good to see you. So, yeah, we're gonna talk about B3 here in just a minute. There's something that's kind of been wearing on me a little bit, and I don't want to get too steeped into drama, because honestly, I'm not looking for ass pats. I'm not looking for people to blow sunshine up my keister. But I want to address anyone here who is a patron or a YouTube member, and you can do those. The Patreon link is in the crawl, and you can click the membership button if you want to financially support the show. It's $2 here on YouTube because I haven't changed it to $1, and it is $1 over on Patreon, and we have $1, $5, and $10 levels. And so to address that for a minute, I initially I started back some months ago, and I said because I just had the 3 tiers, and it all means the same thing basically. Initially, it all means the same thing. Your names show up in the credits, the show credits. And I thought, the people who are paying $10 a month, that's really decent of them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write really short mini AD&D adventures. I can knock out one of those as a few hundred words, 1,000 words a month, something like that, and post them up on Patreon. And I'm just gonna cut to the chase. I haven't done that in a while. It hasn't been monthly. It has been some months. And I apologize. I sandbagged and got ahead and got caught up after I got behind. Thanks for rejoining, Doc Flamingo. I appreciate that. I got back on schedule, and then I immediately got behind again. And then I was like, well, it's only 4 and I can get caught up with those. And I haven't. April, May, June, July, August. And now it's 8. And I'm sorry. I'm legitimately sorry. My creative praxis is not good. I don't manage my time well. That's not your fault. I know you don't want to hear excuses, but I haven't been giving people good value for their money, I don't think. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm taking most of December off from live streaming. There'll be little short videos as I do the Dice Advent calendar. And every week in December there'll be a live stream, a drawing for a gift. I will send a gift every week to someone, not a Patreon, just be subscribed to the channel and let me know if you want if you want in on a given drawing. Don't say so now. Just during the live stream, if you catch the live stream and you're here during the live stream, we'll roll a die or something. I'll just get everyone's names. I'll just do an hour long, and then you'll get a gift. And if you want to know what your gift is right then, I will tell you. Otherwise, you will get a surprise. I hope that I can get caught up in December with what I owe the people that I said I would give them. I feel like I've been disappointing people. I haven't been doing what I said I would do. I haven't been doing what I am being paid by some of you to do. I am taking your money and not doing the job that you are paying me for. And that's bad. That's not good. And no more, you know, I could tell you about getting caught up in my own head, about days when I have sad brain, but you don't want to hear it. And I don't blame you. So all I can say is, for those of you who've hung in there and have been patiently waiting or impatiently waiting, thank you. And if you split the scene, if you're like, I'm not getting anything out of this guy, not even like a video of you know, uh the process, what's going on. You know, you just sit there and suck in money and then don't say anything. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So if you've split the scene, I'm not going to beg you to come back. I'm not. It would be hollow, and it would, you know. Now, some of you subscribed after I asked you guys to subscribe over on Twitter, and I said, if I hit 5,000 subs, I'm going to start working on a series of 3 modules. They're all individual modules, but they're going to be based on Black Sabbath song titles. And then Richard Witters, who's an amazing artist, and Sky Hernstrom, who's also, to my surprise, in addition to being an exceptionally talented writer, also has like a Vaughn Bodie kind of art style that has a very 1970s vibe to it. Stepped up and said they would provide art gratis. And basically I will release them for free to the world, because they'll be first edition AD&D, but I'm going to make them look like old school modules, and they'll have Richard and Sky's artwork inside them. To be honest, that's probably going to happen in 2025. So I have stuff in the pipeline. I have stuff planned. And again, if you hung with me, thank you. Like, I didn't, you know, I didn't plan to take the money and run. And I'm not going to bore you guys. I've done it too many times in the past with why this going on, why that going on. It's just, I suck. What can I say? I'll try to suck less. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Taking a look at Baldur's Gate 3. No, I'm probably not going to play Baldur's Gate 3. If I see it pop up in a few years for like a couple of bucks, on Steam. Yeah, I'll grab it then. To be honest, the big one that's caught my eye is Stalker 2. I loved the first Stalker and I loved its sequels. Oh my God, were they so buggy though? So unbelievably buggy. But I also don't have the computer to run Stalker. Stalker, they're like, yeah, an i9 10400, RTX 2060, 32 gigs of RAM. That's kind of what you're needing. And I just upgraded my computer. I have an i7 8700 and 16 gigs of RAM, and I still have my 1080. So, but anyway, I got distracted there. Surprise. So yeah. Once again, for like the fifth or sixth time in as many months, I apologize to all you people who've been waiting, you people at Master Thief level. So I will try to do better. I'll try to make your Christmas present the modules that I owe you. So again, I will try to suck less. All right. So with that said, guys, let's talk about Palace's Silver Princess. The history of this module, I should say these modules. I should say these modules because honestly, they're two different modules. I was shocked today. I had not looked. Thank you, Gonzalo. I appreciate that. I was shocked when I looked at the green B3 today, how different from the orange cover B3 it is. And we're going to start looking at this now. This is going to be scattershot. I thought I could go through and pluck out a few differences and then line them up for you guys, and it would just be that simple. It ain't. It ain't by any stretch of the imagination just that simple. And I got some fast facts, some ready facts pulled up here. I kind of did this goodly. Hoops among to quote Josh Pate, who is an excellent sports YouTuber, college football, hoops amongst us does not like well-prepared notes. Rob Turner dropped me a PM. Yes, I am DDR4. So here we are, B3. We looked at this some last night. And here is also a B3. We did not look at this one last night. Gonzalo, I will still thank you, but I just need to move that. So B3 and B3. Fairly the same. This is a copy of the scan that Wizards of the Coast had up for free on their website for many, many years, which is why I tell people, go and download it wherever it is, wherever you find it. Download a copy. They made it free. It's not for sale on drive-through. It does not. It does not take money away from the estate of Gene Wells. And you've got the Decapus here, but this is pretty naff. Somebody at Wizards of the Coast found a copy in the office and did this scan and put it up. What else did they have on the old free module download? I think they had Ravenloft. They had B3. They had a fair few classic modules right up there, right on Wizards of the Coast website back in 2000, before they even started talking about sharing stuff. So yeah, this is a scan from whatever copy they had. If you find an orange cover copy, like in a used bookstore or something, and it's 8, 10, 20, 30, 50, $100, buy it. There are less than 200 of these floating around out there. And we're going to go into the why of it. We mentioned it a bit last night. But briefly, the same day that these were shipped to distributors, office copies were opened. And because of the unflattering picture of Brian Bloom as one of the UBO heads, all of the artwork was pulled back. And I want to be crystal clear. The idea that the illusion of the Decapus was what caused TSR to clutch their pearls and pull this back is completely wrong. It was the Bloom's ego that was bruised. There are bare bosoms and butts throughout many D&D products. And one thing, I want to show you this. I want to show you something. The illusion of the Decapus. That's a Decapus, by the way. Called a Decapus because it's got 10 tentacles. Thank you, Doc Flamingo. Silver Princess was your first D&D session. I want to show you something here. Lovely image by Bill Willingham. You got some, yeah, right here. She's topless. That's fine. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But here's the cleaned up one. Safe for mom and dad to find in your room. Oh, but what's this? There's still nudity. Still a little bit of nudity. So much for the pearl clutching. So much for the moralization. So, the other issue that TSR had with the module was that after a read through, a lot of the creators felt like it, or a lot of editors felt like it was not particularly well done. They didn't think much of Gene Wells' work. And so they handed it over to Tom Moldvay, because you'll note there's one of our first big differences, aside from the color of the cover, by Gene Wells. By Tom Moldvay and Gene Wells. So, yeah. So does our blurb change all that much? And it does. Years ago, the valley was green, and animals ran through golden fields of grain. The Princess Argenta ruled over this peaceful land, and the people were secure and happy. Then one day, a warrior riding a red dragon appeared in the skies over the prince's castle, and almost overnight, the tiny kingdom fell into ruin. Now only ruins and rumors remain, and what legends there are tell of a fabulous ruby still buried somewhere within the palace of the Silver Princess. Now we have, not long ago, the valley was green and animals ran free through golden fields of grain. The Princess Argenta ruled over this peaceful land, yada, yada, yada. So it went from years ago in orange to not long ago. It's a slight change. Yes, Gonzalo, this is new for this module, and this is Moltve Basic. As far as I know, this creature never again showed up in a D&D module. All right. Now, you might have noticed that this map and this map are different. The maps are essentially the same, but I want to look at the maps first because as same as they are, oh boy, are they different. So this is the first level, the entrance. This is the upper level. And so green, orange. Let's go to the first level. It's all the way at the back of the orange module. This is the entrance level. Hold still. So entrance level. The green has a clearer map, a much clearer map than the earlier non-repro blue scan. And we can see essentially the maps are the same. One thing you're going to notice, and I'll try and zoom in a little on this, and when we get into the meat of the module, I'll go over this a little bit. Okay, so note our room numbers here: 5, 10, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 15. If we go over here, the numbering is different. 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, 9, and 12. So something's a little different here. And also, note here, between 6 and 10, there is a 10 by 20 hallway going down, or stairway going down, with 2 normal doors. In the original, that hallway is capped by secret doors, and there's a pit trap in front of one of them. So we're starting to see some of those differences. But the map differences get even more notable. We'll zip back to, this is the upper level, the second level. This is the green B3. Now look here. Look at this center section. Unfortunately, I don't know if the individual maps, so map 3, map 1 and 2. Okay, here's the upper level. That center section here is completely gone. That just doesn't exist. And again, you'll note, let me zoom in, that gets kind of hard to see. You'll note that the numbering system is fairly different. It's almost like if you guys remember the A series has different maps. There's a tournament map and there's the campaign map. And the tournament maps have far less stuff in them, quote unquote. Thank you, Robert. Have a lovely evening. So we are seeing very different maps here. Now, this is subtle, and I'm not sure how well this will show up on screen for you. The dais in room 14 here is square. In what is now room 76, it's round. So note that. I have used the tournament version of A1 as an event map or as an event module because A1 itself is gigantic. So I just used the tournament only map. All right, so let's get to content. Let's get to the module content because this is where things really start to go off the rails quite a bit. Sorry for giving anyone scoliosis here. All right. So we basically have a similar inner flyleaf blurb. The text changes are the same. Years ago, the valley was green and animals ran free. Not long ago, the valley was green and animals ran free. Now, it does point out here, then one day a warrior riding a white dragon. And here it says, then one day a warrior riding a red dragon. So they changed the color. And what is so odd about this is the dragon doesn't appear in either module. It gets a little bit more play in the green cover revision, talking about it's been sent to a dimension of cold, yada, yada, yada. But it still doesn't appear. It's like some strange aesthetic decision that Tom Moldvay created. All right, so here we go. Green starts off with the introduction, the warning that you need the basic rules. Not necessarily true for B2 Keep on the Borderlands, which, by the way, you might be wondering, is this a sequel to Keep on the Borderlands? Not so much. It kind of can be, but not so much. No, because if it was Chekhov's dragon, it would make an appearance. This is more like Schrodinger's dragon. It both is and is not key to the module. All right, so let's look at the introductions. And guys, the differences between these two modules are so vast, like we're not going to get this covered tonight. If I do a 2-hour show, we're not going to get this covered. So right off the bat, so Orange one starts off by saying a great many of the things found in Palace, we're just going to call it Palace, are there to add color and give the DM ideas upon which to expand. This module has been specifically designed to give the beginning DM, as well as more experienced DM, a framework on which to build a whole dungeon complex. This module can also be used as a basis for an ongoing campaign, as it provides rumors, legends, and other information to give a campaign foundation and background. Whomst amongst us would not regard that as an extremely cromulent thing? But our notes for the Dungeon Master are tonally very different. Right off the bat, right off the bat, you can see it's very different. It breaks things up in a section for us. An introduction that outlines the rules for the adventure and gives the DM background information. That's what we're reading now. A special part 2 is a special adventure which takes place in the Palace Gatehouse. This special adventure has been designed to introduce new DMs to the art of dungeon mastering. Part 3 describes the second level. Part 4 details the second level. I'm sorry, part 3 details the first level. Part 4 details the second level. 5 is a glossary. 6 details the new monsters. To aid the DM, we have a glossary. Well, thank you, Gonzalo. My OCD has certainly embiggened the live stream. I'll leave it to you guys to decide, how embiggened the live stream actually is. But let's go on. And right off the bat, we are, it is tonally very different. We're given a lot of DM assistance in this first page that is not in the first page of B3. There's a brief column here. Yes, cromulent is from The Simpsons, so is embiggens. And both of those words are now neologisms that are listed in many non-academic dictionaries. It's kind of like how ain't has kind of beaten its way into the English language. So, yeah. She is hanging up the Millhouse glasses. Yeah, she is. She's Millhouse. She's Kearney. I think she's one of the bully kids. She's Kearney, or is it Jimbo? I can't remember. And they're Rod and Todd. She's Rod and Todd, Jimbo, and Millhouse. But anyway, so it then jumps into the legend, which we don't get. Again, we're getting a lot of DM help here. And then we get a player's background read to players. And this is where things are really, really different. And I'm gonna read through this, and then we're going to kind of. I always thought that was a lovely drawing by Gene Wells. We're gonna go over this entire page and compare it to B3. So let's look at the legend mentioned in B3. By the way, I want to be clear about something. I am not making a that's an appropriate name for him, Rary. I am not making a value judgment about which one of these is better. You may look at them both. One is free. The other was $4.99 on drive-through today. As far as I'm concerned, get them both. Just get them both. Anyway, ancient legends of the land speak of a beautiful young princess called Argenta who lived in a wonderful enchanted palace made of every type of marble known. Her palace was in the heart of a rich, fertile valley filled with gentle creatures that could do no harm. Exotic flowers and plant life grew everywhere. Water ran sweet and clear, and the skies were always clean and warm. Mica flickered in all the rocks and was often found in the streams, making them glisten like diamonds in the bright sunlight. Early morning dewdrops clung gently to leaves of small trees and grass, appearing like fairy jewels scattered from wild dance in the night before. Wild birds with long, colorful tails and bright faces filled the air with the sweet sounds of their love songs. Tiny animals freely darted in and out of the underbrush, fearing nothing, as there were no enemies anywhere to be found. The dwarves that lived in the valley loved Princess Argenta very much. They worked her silver and ruby mines so that the elves who shared the valley with them could make beautiful jewelry and weapons. Everything in the valley was peaceful. One day, according to legend, a ruby the size of an apple was found, a perfect ruby. The dwarves cut the ruby carefully so that its size would not be diminished. The elves polished the ruby until it shone so that it was almost impossible to gaze upon. They presented it to the princess and told her that it was as lovely as she, and they called it My Lady's Heart. So pleased was the princess that she decided to honor her friends, the elves and dwarves, with a grand party, a masquerade ball. Everyone was invited to come. It does. This is very much a fairy tale module. On the eve of the grand ball, people poured into the valley from everywhere. How so many people had heard about the party, no one knew, but the princess did not mind. She was proud of the ruby and wanted everyone to see My Lady's Heart. She should not have been so eager to show the ruby, as one guest was interested in more than its beauty alone. He had come to steal it. His eyes also roamed freely to the princess, and he gazed upon her as much as he gazed upon the brilliant gem. Princess Argenta saw this, and in her innocence smiled back at him. Two dwarves and an elf saw this, and when they challenged him after the party, they were never seen or heard from again. Many weeks after the party, a red dragon was seen in the skies of the valley. The dragon burned the rich land with its breath and terrorized the gentle people of the valley. The land was left scorched and barren. Those valley people, unfortunate enough to get close enough to the dragon, but fortunate enough to live, swore they saw a man in silver and blue armor riding on its back. Some folks still say that they see a red dragon in the skies over the valley. Many say they see a saddle on the dragon's back and loose reins near its head. The valley is now dead. The palace is in ruins. No one knows exactly what happened to the princess. Some believe that the man and the dragon carried her away. Others think that he killed her and stole what treasure he could find. But all the stories say that the ruby, My Lady's Heart, is still hidden in the palace. And then we get into the locale. So with that said, let's check out the differences here. After we check David Brown bringing the politics. Oh yeah, orbital. I think that's very, you're very very correct about that. Introductory modules in the 80s. I learned how to play Dungeons and Dragons with just B2 alone. I didn't have a rule book. All I had was B2, and that was Gary's work, but Tom Mulvey also edited it some. Let's see. So here's the background from the green B3. The Valley of Haven was a peaceful land. Its crops were abundant, its citizens prosperous. Elves, dwarves, halflings, and humans lived together in harmony. Hidden away in the heart of the Thunder Mountains, Haven was a safe place to live. The rivers were sweet and pure. The weather was pleasant and warm. One reason Haven was so peaceful was due to the presence of the Protectors, a magical race from the land of Fairy. These mysterious green beings are a gentle folk, and their magic helps ward off evil. They help the crops to grow and the land of Haven to prosper. The ruler of Haven was the fair Princess Argenta. She lived in a palace made of white shining marble, which when the sun set glowed like silver. Princess Argenta was loved by all her people. She was just, fair, and friendly to all. One day, the dwarves of Haven found a ruby the size of an apple while digging in a new mine. As a token of their devotion, they gave the ruby to Princess Argenta. The dwarves named the ruby My Lady's Heart. The princess was so pleased with the gift that she invited all the realm to attend a celebration to see the wondrous gem. The dwarves were to be guests of honor. It was a grand day of feasting and fun. The day before the celebration, a strange visitor arrived. He flew into the valley riding a white dragon. The rider was dressed all in black. He had pale skin, long blonde hair, and a short blonde beard. Since Haven was noted for its hospitality, the princess invited the stranger to stay at the palace. She also granted his request to escort her to the celebration. So you see how different things are so far. At midnight, disaster struck. Dark clouds hid the moon, and a freezing wind blew through the valley. The crops withered in the fields. Cattle grew sick. The valley began to die. From the palace came an explosion, and parts of the walls came tumbling down. When the dust cleared, it could be seen that a ruby glow surrounded the entire palace. Haven now lies in chaos. Raiding bands of orcs, goblins, and hobgoblins terrorize the countryside. The disaster happened so suddenly that the citizens are confused and helpless. Without their leaders who are trapped in the palace, they have no courage to fight back. Even the protectors have disappeared. The situation has become desperate. And we get a little note for the players. Each player character has had the same dream. In the dream, a protector came to the person and pleaded for help. Haven is in dire trouble, the protector said. We do not know what caused the disaster, but we do know that the reason can be found somewhere in the palace. Allies of the evil that has attacked Haven have challenged the protectors, and we are under siege. We cannot help Haven, but you can. The princess needs you. The people of Haven needs you. You are Haven's only hope. We beg you to find the source of the evil that has overtaken Haven and destroy that evil. If you go, you will meet a band of friends outside the palace at noon tomorrow. We will open the way into and out of the palace for you. We will also give you all the help we can, but our power is limited. The future of Haven is in your hands. So, you see tonally how very different, how very, very different these are. So that's just kind of one example. I want to take a look now at the list that I compiled today. Again, a line item look is kind of beyond the scope. So first of all, the orange cover was written just by Gene Wells. The controversial content was, of course, the illusion of the Decapus. Depicting what was deemed inappropriate imagery. NPCs and encounters with potentially objectionable themes or tones, such as lewd character names like Urveth the Evil, and a darker tone overall. Some content leaned towards satire or darker humor, less polish for TSR's intended audience, very limited print run, of course, recalled and destroyed by TSR. Some copies did survive. The green cover, of course, we know, revised by Tom Moldvay, with significant changes to Wells' original work. The illusion of the Decapus and toned down controversial or suggestive elements. It introduced and rewrote NPCs, making them more straightforward. It added material to make the adventure more cohesive and polished for publication. It's more in line with the basic D&D aesthetic and focus on accessibility for younger audiences. It was officially published and widely distributed. So yeah, we've seen that so far. Now, I want to show you guys the original illusion of the Decapus. Let's pull this over here. Where did that go? All right. Let's see. Sorry, I have so many tabs open right now. So many damn tabs. All right. I got my notes back. Sorry, guys. All right, so here is the original. Is it dungeon level 1? You know what? We're just going to have to do a word find on this bad boy. I hope you guys are finding this interesting, and more interesting anyway than my mauling about not being able to do what patrons paid me to do. All right, so here. All right, so here we go. Is it there? Oh, we got to find the art. The illusion of the Decapus. Yeah. So you will encounter this. Come on. In room 22. You will encounter this in room 22. And this is the description of Encounter 22. A beautiful young woman hangs from the ceiling. 9 ugly men can be seen poking their swords lightly into her flesh, all while taunting her in an unknown language and pulling at what few clothes she has on. Part of her ankle-length hair has been wrapped around her legs, securely binding them together, while the rest of her hair has been used to tie her hands to a ceiling beam. A long U-shaped table dominates most of the floor. A huge fireplace is in the north wall. So that's the illusion of the Decapus. It is 65 in this module, and not only is the art gone, this is gone too. This encounter is completely gone. So this is the Great Hall. This large dining hall is paneled with rough wooden bracing beams run from floor to ceiling all along 4 walls. Cross beams run from the bracing beams, supporting the wooden ceiling. A large fireplace is set in the north wall. A long U-shaped wooden table dominates the center of the room. Stuffed animal heads, obviously hunting trophies, hang on the walls. This dining room was used for grand feasts. Wooden beams were intended to give it a rugged look. Hanging from the ceiling beams, waiting for the party, is a new monster, a Decapus, which was warned of the party's approach when they stepped in the pressure plate in Area 64. The Decapus, armor class 5, 4 hit dice, 18 hit points, move 1 or 30, number of attacks 9, etc., is a creature usually found in forests. It looks like a bloated, hairy globe with 10 tentacles. Its hair is brown and its body is green. In the center of the Decapus' 4-foot wide body is a huge, toothy mouth. Decapuses usually live alone. Preferring to hunt by themselves, they hunt by swinging through trees, scooping their prey into their tentacles. They're 10 feet long, extend from all parts of its body. The tentacles are covered with suckers, which they can use not only to grasp prey, but to climb walls and ceilings. It attacks with 9 of its tentacles, using the 10th to hang from the ceiling. On the floor ground, it is much more helpless. Its tentacles are not strong enough to support its weight upright for long periods of time. On the ground, it can only manage 6 attacks, and these only do half normal damage. When swinging through the trees, it can travel at 90 feet per turn or 30 feet per round. On the ground, it can only move 3 feet per turn or 1 foot or 1 foot per round. And then it goes on about some treasure in the room. Now, we go back here. The Decapus has got many entries. It's armor class 5, but it is hit die 3. But now the Decapus has that illusory capability, which was taken from it by Tom Moldvay. I think they just didn't want anything to do with. This clever monster has the innate ability to use both ventriloquism and illusions to appear as a helpless, beautiful woman, usually hanging from the ceiling and being taunted by 9 ugly men. In its true form, it has 10 long tentacles extending from various parts of its body, blah, 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 blah. It does mention its eyes not having pupils, and its mouth being a terrible thing to behold. It's very wide and has long yellow teeth and terribly foul breath. It's incapable of human speech, but is an expert at mimicking a high-pitched scream. It can also make guttural noises, which are understood by others of its kind. The sounds are extremely unpleasant for humans to hear. The only sound that can be understood in the Decapus language, other than a scream, is the hideous laughter it emits when it has killed its victim. Decapuses usually live alone, and then, let's see. The only time they gather is during the mating season. At this time, many of them can be seen hanging from the ceilings, all making strange, ugly sounds. A female Decapus will give birth to only 1 offspring, and if she's hungry or confused, she may eat it. If she does not, she will leave it alone, and then it claims its own territory. Decapuses do not need to care for the care of their mothers, as do the young of some animals. Their favorite food is human beings, but they enjoy elves and halflings too. They will not eat dwarves unless forced by starvation to do so. Other creatures commonly eaten by a Decapus are kobolds, orcs, and ogres. A delicacy to a Decapus is mule meat. They love it and have been known to follow the scent of a mule for weeks until they catch it or grow weary of the chase. So here's the thing. The Decapus speaks to a tone in this module that personally, I think everything in this module actually works very well for AD&D. I mean, think about AD&D. You've got many different monsters that can do equally horrible things like that in AD&D. And Gene Wells' imagination in giving us some of its ecology and behavior, that is a creature that would have fit seamlessly into the monster manual. So I don't feel like as better as a lot of things in Tom Moldvay's edit are, like, for example, I don't like, with all respect, the late Ms. Wells' rather florid language describing the valley. And the birds had beautiful faces and long, colorful tails, and the dew was like little gems that had been shaken all over by little fairy people. That's I feel like things like the Decapus and the encounter where you find it, that that's actually fairly Gygaxian. I'm actually okay with it. So so you know, take from that what you will. But I'm going to bring my notes back up here because I want to look at this again. Um, so let's see. Let me get my notes back here, guys. Bear with me a moment. So the orange cover has here's another one. Let me see. Just want to make sure I've got all my notes together here. All right, so we have this encounter with a statue. This is no. This is a lot of these rooms are very B1 like in that it's up to the DM to that creature. David Brown is called the wolf in sheep's clothing. Yes. So yeah, here we are. This area is open along a small worship alcove. This open area is a small worship alcove. Good Lord. On a raised platform along the western wall is a beautifully carved statue of a woman holding a small girl child in her lap. The woman is smiling down at the child who plays with a small ball clutched in her hands. The inscription at the base of the statue reads, "The secret treasure of one's heart can be found in love." Um, and let me see. There are lots of statues like that in the green covered B3. Let's see. And here, this is just an example. And this is a case where here's something again. This is less whimsical and a little more grounded, but is it better? Um, This is the cave pool. Once characters have entered, they're able to see the crowned head of a large statue of a man. The statue seems to be made of bronze. The eyes are small rubies, 50 gold pieces each. The liquid in the pool is a kind of ink. The water of the pool is heated by hot springs. The water absorbs the color from a particular kind of mineral. Anything which comes in contact with the ink will be stained purple. Since it's permanent, it'll have to wear off naturally 1 to 6 days. It will not stain non-porous surfaces which do not absorb water very well, such as steel. It will not harm characters. Hidden inside the head, packed in a protective oilskin bag, is a ring of protection +1. So yeah, the statues are presented a little differently here than they are in the orange version. So let's take a look at the NPCs. Are the NPCs really that different from module to module? By the way, I have a question for you guys. Um, is anybody here familiar with? I think it's a We Warriors module, or it may be uh, Roll Aids module called the Dwarven Rite of Ouvra Droom. Let me know if you are, because you guys are talking a lot about a third party stuff. This is not so much pre-generated characters as it is NPCs. Let's see. Oh, here's something right now. One of the new monsters in Gene's original presentation are bubbles. They're giant intelligent bubbles. They just float around and they're bubbles. They remind me a lot of the Rover from The Prisoner, if you guys are familiar with that. But here we are. This is in the orange B3, not in the green B3. Bubbles are giant air pockets that have been given life and intelligence by countless unsuccessful magical potion experiments that were discarded into the water where they were formed. After years of this thoughtless dumping, the potions mixed together to create these bubble monsters. And for the most part, bubbles will only be found in this module, though it is possible a few might escape into a stream or river and be carried elsewhere. If a bubble successfully hits and paralyzes the opponent that opposes, that opponent will be engulfed by the bubble. If the victim falls into the water, an engulfed victim will suffocate in 1d4+1 rounds unless someone kills the bubble, thus releasing the victim. This must be done before the bubble sinks back into the depths of the water from which it came. Once the victim is dead, the bubble will expel the body, rise to the surface, and attack again. The body, unless armored, will float to the surface. A bubble, once destroyed, will reform into 2 more bubbles in 36 turns, unless the water it inhabits is drained onto an open flat area and then dried or absorbed into something such as cloth or earth, etc. So, yeah, bubbles. I mean, look at all of the new monsters that Gene introduced. Archer bushes. They're killer bushes. The barrack, which, I mean, it's a 6-legged rat. A 6-legged rat platypus. the Decapus, Bubbles, Ghosts, which you guys who have better IQ on basic, um, were Ghosts not already in basic and expert D&D? Moldvay basic and expert? Can someone confirm or deny? The Dagger. This unique creature can only be found in remote abandoned ruins where it seeks stone areas in order to disguise itself as a marble pool. It's capable of flying short distances by expelling helium. Sounds kind of like a flump, really. The giant marble snake. So ghosts are in there, right, David Brown? Yeah, so she had ghosts in here. I guess I didn't want ghosts in here. Giant marble snake, Jupiter bloodsucker, giant marmoset monkeys, poltergeist, another type of undead, protectors, which are, I guess, are the aforementioned critters who kept the valley safe. Purple moss, the ubu, which had been completely deleted from the green B3. The ubu are no more. So here, our new monsters: Archer Bush, Decapus, Vampire Roses. That's it. The Archer Bush is in the other book. So is the Decapus, except here it's neutered. And Vampire Roses are new in this book, in this version. That's it. That's it. Um, so you know, now let's go to those NPCs. Let's see here. Let me move this over here. Let us look at the NPCs. I'm sorry, I kept saying NPCs. Yes, ready-made characters is what I meant. Are they the same? So let's look at their gear there. So we have a couple of clerics, couple of dwarves, couple of elves, couple of fighters, couple of halflings, couple of magic users, couple of thieves. I'm sorry, one halfling. Major person ready to play characters. Couple of fighters, couple of dwarves, a halfling, a couple of magic users, couple elves, couple clerics, couple of thieves. Our elf has charm person as a spell. Our other elf has sleep as a spell. Our two magic users, one has magic missile and the other has sleep. How are we doing over here? Magic missile, sleep, charm person, light. It's not just a KMFDM song. It's not just a type of beer. Rory, do you mean I called you Rory earlier? I was thinking of the Greyhawk character. Would you yes, ghosts age you 10 to 60 years in AD&D. Let's see. They do not, to my knowledge, drain levels in earlier editions. Let's see here for just a second. I think equipment looks to be the same. Pack A is a backpack, large sack, lantern, 2 oil flasks, tinderbox, full wineskin, 10 gold. Here it's full wineskin, 12 iron spikes, a small hammer, and 10 gold. Pack B is a backpack, 2 large sacks, 6 torches, 3 oil flasks, tinderbox, 10-foot pole, normal rations. Here it's more or less the same, only we got 50 feet of rope. And pack C is a backpack, 4 small sacks, 50 feet of rope, 12 iron spikes, mirror, normal rations, full wineskin, holy symbol, and holy water, or thieves' tools for a thief. And again, this one is very different. Has less stuff. So all in all, with a few slight tweaks, these and these seem to be about the same. They don't seem to be terribly different. Now, I want to look at the ghost. I want to look at the ghost that she introduced. So its special attack is aging. A ghost, upon successfully hitting an opponent, has a 50% chance of causing its opponent to age between 1 and 8 years from fright. That's very, very, very generous compared to AD&D ghosts. But it doesn't appear to be doing any kind of level drain. In BX, there's a haunt ghost and a haunt poltergeist. She did have poltergeists in here. What do they do? They're not a physical being, but a mischievous spirit that is bound to a certain area, usually a room, but sometimes a small house or area in open lands or woods. Poltergeist cannot be fought by normal means. They must be exorcised by a high-level cleric. Due to the unusual nature, they are often avoided. Let's see. They cause damage to opponents by using the objects around it, such as a stick, a chair, or a plate. Most items chosen as weapons are small and cause little damage, usually from 1 to 3 hit points. Typically, the poltergeist will move many objects all at once, choosing only 1 or 2 as weapons. Sometimes spirits will attempt to knock the intended victim down, simply confusing or scaring him or her. So there we go. That's the poltergeist. They have no hit dice. They're very weirdly statted. They're almost an environmental thing. And again, we have no Ubu. I just want to make sure we're not missing them. Nope. The haunt in MM2 was a better present. I like the AD&D ghost. Personally, I really prefer the AD&D ghost. So in BX, there was a haunt ghost and a haunt poltergeist. Can I get to... No, I would just cause an avalanche if I dug around and tried to get my copy of the expert rulebook. Poltergeist video game. I don't. You got me, Kabuki. So let's look real quick. I want to check this out. If we go down here, room 63 is really interesting because we don't have that in the orange B3. We have nothing like that. So what is room 63? Why is it so weird and different? By the way, very nice. Is that Jeff D's artwork? Yeah, that's a Jeff D, letter D there. And our back of this one, is it the same? Yes, it is. Anyway, so room 63. This is the Palace Garden. This area is a palace garden. It is roofless and is lit from above by a blood red light. The garden has become completely overgrown with weeds, except for a large stand of white rose bushes at the center of the garden. All of the flowers that once grew here have died. Ah. Can I get a +1 in the chat if anyone got that? If anyone at all got that, I would be shocked. Yeah, elves scoff at the AD&D ghost. You're absolutely right, Robert Phillips. Oh, you did nothing at all. You want to try it again? But I bet nobody got that. Oh, look, Kabuki's in the chat giving out warnings again. Watch your hyphens, Wave of Mutilation. Are they smug ass elves or are they smug ass elves? Nobody got the Prince. Nothing compares to you reference at all. Okay. No, the Cyclopedia is a further mutation of the rules. I don't mean bad. Don't at me. Oh, he doesn't like the Cyclopedia. Anyway, so there's archer bushes and vampire roses in this large area in the middle that we were checking out. So that's what we have in the huge area. And let's see. AB represents archer bush, and V indicates vampire roses. So there's a vampire rose bush in the middle of the room, and all these archer bushes positioned around room 63, which again is not in orange B3 at all. The I did it again. The decapus, yes, Jorge. It was Sinead. May she rest in peace. I hope she did find some peace. But the decapus is there's its silent alarm in area 64, and then the decapus is in area 65, and of course we know the real decapus is up here in orange B3. Now, one thing you might be noting, and I've mentioned this before, but just in case you're not, a lot of these areas have descriptions, but no monsters, nor treasures, nor optional traps. It's there for you, the DM, to fill in. Some fair to Midland art there. I think that may be Gene Wells' work, but it also has a pinch of Jim Rosseloff to it, or maybe Jeff D. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now, they did reuse this piece of art for a garden area that's different in this module. Area 13 is what they used this illustration for. There's the lovely Ubos. So I was looking to see. Here's interesting NPC, the Tinker and his daughter. Lovely outdoor map. All this is in Orange B3, by the way, guys. But here's something interesting. So we had established a little bit that with the fill it in yourself DM sections of the module, Gonzalo, it was lots and lots of system modules for Original Traveler. I sold off so many bundles. I had probably 2 linear feet, and think about that. Most of those are about as thick as an OD&D booklet, and I probably had a stack that thick of those damn things from a dearly departed friend's RPG library, and I sold them off in lots. Did pretty well too. They were very well kept. And it's not like OD&D. It's not like, oh my gosh, that was so valuable. I mean, even OD&D, if you want it, you can get it. Anyway, to continue on. Green B3 actually has the entire front section is not a standard D&D adventure. It's not a standard D&D adventure. The entire front section of the module is for DMs and for players to run as a multiplayer choose your own adventure, which you may say, Bill, what's the difference? And the difference is it lays out, you can do this or you can do that. It doesn't give you any choice between the two. And it says, so here's a perfect example. So we have our start paragraph here, which I won't bother to read. Entry 1. You may walk into the entranceway, being careful to avoid stepping into the area any area glowing red, or you may walk into an area glowing red. So you can either go to 2 or to 3. Entry 2 or entry 3. You go to 2, your party has reached the entrance of the palace. The portcullis gate made of heavy iron bars is raised. You may carefully search the area, or you may proceed into the dungeon. Carefully search takes you to 4. Proceeding into the dungeon takes you to 5. Stepping into a red area, each player that touches a glowing red area feels a numbing shock. The DM should let each player's touched red area make a save versus spells. If it's unsuccessful, the character will take a d6 damage. If it's successful, the character takes no damage. You may remain in the glowing red area or step out of the glowing red area. So you can either reread this or go back to area 1. So the first, well, I shouldn't say the first, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 pages of choose your own adventure for kind of getting a D&D group up to speed if they haven't played D&D. This is in the green one now. This is not in the orange one. So Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think of that? Um, could we go through an endless quest book reading one night? I only have one. Do I only have one? Yeah, I just have Mountain of Mirrors. I used to have a big, huge, thick stack of them. I've got more. I've actually got 4 and 5, and I've got a couple of the wizardry books. I want to tell you guys, I adore this one, City of Thieves. I got this as a kid. I have kept this even after I got rid of all my choose your own adventure books and everything else. I love City of Thieves. It's got good art. It's a good adventure. This it is just a damn fine little fighting fantasy book. And Starship Traveler is good too. But yeah, we could do Mountain of Mirrors one night if you guys wanted to. Again, that's the only one I have. I had Return to Brookmere, Revenge of the Rainbow Dragons, Mountain of Mirrors, was it Dungeons of Dread? I had one that was ostensibly set in Greyhawk. I think it was interesting because it was absolutely stated that you could be a boy or a girl in it. Gene wrote that one specifically aimed that way. I had a top secret one and one of the Gamma World ones, or a top secret one, a Gamma World one, and a Star Frontiers one. Villains of Volturnus. So this is my these are my kind of closing thoughts on the modules and their differences. Um, I like a lot. I like all of the pre-made structure and the toning down of the very saccharine elements in the Tom Moldvay edit. I like the edgier, darker elements in Gene Wells' original. My recommendation to you, my recommendation to you is I would say get the PDF or the print on demand or both. Well, I think you'll get both if you order them both. Anyway, Hero of Washington Square, that's the one I was trying to think of. The top secret one. It's a good one. The Star Frontiers was Villains of Volturnus. Hero of Washington Square was top secret, and Light on Quest Mountain was the Gamma World. I would probably jettison the choose your own adventure section unless you have a group of people who never played D&D before. There's not a lot of mechanics going on here. But I would keep like the central garden. I would use the Decapus encounter from the original B3, just because I'm like that. I'd keep the ghost encounters. The bubbles, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I went to a Revolting Dwarves concert, man. That Chicago sound back in the late 80s, early 90s, industrial stuff just leaves your ears ringing. Am I right? So I would literally recommend that you take the orange and the green and concatenate them. There's definitely stuff in orange that's good. There's definitely stuff in green that's good. I feel like, with respect again to the late Gene Wells, well, they have a quarter of a hit die. So they have 1 to 2 points of damage that they can take. Villains of Volturnus actually has a I can't remember what they're called. They're these highly intelligent land dwelling octopoid creatures that can help you if you play Crash on Volturnus, the pack-in module that comes with Star Frontiers. The is it the Ulmore? No, that's no. But you meet one in Villains of Volturnus, and it's a female. The Octodad jokes, yeah. But anyhow, like the choose your own adventure part out, but then on the flip side, there's stuff. I just think green is a little bit more straightforward, and that makes it better. And I don't, but things like, again, the Ubos being taken out and so on and etc., make it not as good. And I think things like the Tinker and his daughter are nice additions that are not in the green version. So look at the two, get them both, and figure out how to meld them together. It does seem like a minor change, but it's not. At first you're like, oh, okay, they got rid of the illusion of the Decapus. It's not a minor change, guys. It's a major change. A major change. So with these two modules, you've got a fair amount of work on your hands. You've got a fair amount of work on your hands as a DM. But I feel like you can make something worth playing out of them. It's worth getting both. Picture it like this. You go out and you buy 2 haven't run in 40-year muscle cars. One, the body is completely clapped out. The interior is gone. Rats have eaten the seats and done worse in there in the hoodliner. The other, the interior is great, but it's only got a slant 6 in it. But the one with the bad body has a much better rear end, and all the trim outside is intact, and it's got a big block 400 in it. Is it worth your time to do an engine swap and have just a cherry muscle car? Absolutely. And that's what you get. That's what you get if you get B3 orange and then buy yourself a copy of B3 Green, fire up Word or Notepad, or grab your notebook and pen, whatever you do. Well, it's a factory stereo kabuki, so it's an 8-track. We're talking about 70s iron. You're going to be jamming that Foghat 8-track in there. But whatever it is you do, play the green version and reinsert the Bloom Brothers. David, that kind of sums it up. Hey, I will tell you, since we're kind of in the wind down now, I will tell you straight up, Kabuki, as a music fan, Kabuki, you should know there is a Pink Floyd track on Animals. It's not on vinyl and it's not on CD. And to the best of my knowledge, it's not in it's not in any of the box sets, any of the big box sets. And it's intended to loop the album. And Lou Reed's Metal Machine Music likewise has a track that is only on the 8-track that's intended to make the whole album a continual play. There are a rare few things only on 8-track out there. You know, this is one of those things I regret doing, but believe it or not, and nobody believed this, but I swear to you, I saw this. When I was working at Musicland, it was like in the first few months, we still sold cassettes. We still did a fairly big sale of cassettes. And, you know, store stock, when stuff doesn't sell, it goes back to a warehouse, or if a store closes, their inventory goes back to the warehouse, then it comes back, or it may even be from other stores. Like our cutout bins that we would get stuff that had, and I'm not making this up, because the people in the warehouse didn't want to fart with it if it was too big. I distinctly remember seeing these big round purple sales stickers that I know as a kid I recognized from Zayre's, that Zayre's would put on cassettes. If you don't know what Zayre's is, it was a discount store like Kmart here in the US, general retail store. Like W.T. Grant's, Woolworth's, Woolco. So we would get dump bin stuff that, you know, it felt dirty, like literally you'd want to go wash your hands after handling some of those cassettes. And they you know, they would send mainline stuff sometimes. We got Pink Floyd's The Wall on cassette. It was on 2 tapes, not 2 copies, 2 tapes. Cassette 1, cassette 2. Nobody believes me when I tell them that. Oh, no, it was only ever on a single tape. No, it wasn't. It was on 2 tapes at one point. And this thing looked like it had seen some miles. The shrink wrap was yellowed and frayed. But absolutely, it was on 2 cassette tapes. Double tape sets. I bought summer of 91, I think. I believe it was summer of 91 or summer of 90. When was the first Lollapalooza? I went to that concert, but I don't recall if it was 91 or 92. But I bought Rush Chronicles. That came on 2 cassettes, came on 2 CDs and 2 cassettes. So I had that double tape set. Billy Joel's Greatest Hits, 2 cassettes, and a couple of CDs. '92. Okay, so it was '92. That's right. That Andrew Dice Clay Day the Laughter died. 2 tapes. Okay, so you guys had, many of you guys had double tape copies. And I wish I'd bought it because all the other copies we had were single tapes. And I was like, I'm going to buy that just for the heck of it. I already had it on CD, already had it on vinyl. And I thought, how neat would that be? A double cassette copy, because all these copies are on single cassette. And I knew a lot about cassette tape technology at the time because it was big. Like I remember like Maxell sent me a 3-pack copy of their ultra high-end consumer tapes that we sold for like $8 a piece. They were in like the matte black stealth fighter, because that was a hot property after the Gulf War, anything to do with the stealth fighter. Well, goodbye, Gonzalo. Thank you for the super chats and have fun. Good luck. Have some for me, friend. I feel like that last Studio Tupac album was on a couple of cassettes, or was it just one? But yeah, Maxell tapes. They sent me like a 3-pack of their top of the line tapes. And my coworker, because I wrote into the rep. I wrote into a Maxell rep as I saw it in we had Billboard. I was reading Billboard on break and I was like, all right, I'll do this. And I got 3 of those tapes and I engineered mixtapes on those. I was very careful about them. So I knew a lot about cassette tapes, and knowing that thinner tape, more tape in the spool for longer amounts, a 2-tape copy of Pink Floyd's The Wall is going to sound way better than a 1-tape copy of Pink Floyd's The Wall. I remember the first year that they did the Turkey Day Marathon for Mystery Science Theater 3000, I bought a brick of absolutely awful VHS tapes from work. And, I sat up all night. Like I'd get up, I set an alarm, I'd get up and switch tapes. And I recorded these things on ELP, man. They were like 8 episodes of tape, because they're, well, what was it? 2, 4, 8-hour tapes. So yeah, I could get 6 episodes on a tape. They were almost unwatchable right out of the chute because they were crap tapes recorded on. And the last time I tried to watch them, it's just like, bleh, just garbage. Selectavision. I knew someone who had a Selectavision in the late 1970s. Some neighbor kids that lived around the corner from us, their dad worked at a Magnavox store. Magnavox had stores in malls, and they were high-end audio video stores. They had an Odyssey, so they were the first people I knew with a computer in their house. They showed how you could type and create these things called programs. I was like, oh, like your own TV shows? And they bless my heart, they tried to explain it to me. But they had Yeah, they had the Selectavision, the CED disc player, and a VCR. It was all very above my pay grade. They were around until the time of the 3DO. That's wild. I didn't know that. I remember there was an so the mall I worked at in Central Florida was called the Florida Mall, and it's down by the airport. If you've been to Orlando, if you lived in the Central Florida area ever, whether you were in the Navy, just blew through here, whatever, you probably know about the Florida Mall. And it was a very high-end mall catered to rich tourists. Very few of the people from that section of Orange Blossom Trail came in, and they all seemed to come to the record stores and want to steal. I have the definitive collection on Laserdisc. I got to get my Laserdisc player working one day, so I can dupe it. Yes, I do have the Star Wars Laserdiscs, Drone Swarm. I have a small collection of Laserdiscs anymore. But my player is ailing. It probably needs new belts and caps. I doubt it's anything more serious than that. Anyway, so there was an ultra high-end stereo store in the mall, and they sold DAT. They had DAT players. DAT players were kept out of the US market by unscrupulous activities by the RIAA. We could have and should have had digital audio tape. But I will say this. When I went and listened to DAT at that store, I heard tape hiss. I heard analog tape hiss. I put the headphones on they gave me. Bang & Olufsen, you know, all this gear cost more than I would have made working at the record store in a year. Put on the headphones. Hit play. In the lead-in, tape hiss. In the music, tape hiss. I don't know if it was the source or what. Also, outside of our store for a little while, you know, you guys remember like kiosk stores. I don't mean like the things that look like carts. I mean actual like counters that went around and they had a center island where they kept all their crap. We had a Sharper Image. And the Sharper Image had a lot of very high-end electronics. I always thought of it as being someplace that like you would read about in a William Gibson novel. Like this is where like the best ASP units would be sold, you know, a stock Ono Sendai with a new AI bio chip sitting there on a mirrored pillar, slowly rotating around to show it off. And they had a Neo Geo. Now, I was not super into arcade games at the time at all, really. I still had an Amiga, which did flat shaded polygons and 2D sprites just fine, but I was not interested in arcade games. And Doom had just come out, 93. Well, no, it was even before then. Wolf came out, Wolf 3D came out in 92. And I was like, well, surely a simple looking game like this, the Amiga could do. And I remember my buddy and I at the time, Matt, we downloaded a demo from Eminet, which was a linked network of FTP sites for the Amiga. And a guy made one called Rot 3D, Rotation. And it was basically 2 rooms and a secret brick you could push to open a door to go into a third room. And he had a fairly high spec Amiga. On his machine, it ran at about 5 frames a second. I got home and tried it out on my Amiga 500, and it just, I was like, how? This just looks like Wolf 3D. That was when my brain was opened up and I started to understand chunky or byte per pixel versus planar graphics, which is beyond the discussion of this. I'm sure people are tuning out as we speak, but so when I saw Sprites, King of Fighters, was Samurai Showdown, was that a sprite based beat 'em up? Mortal Kombat, there was one something, Carnage, Rage, something like that. I was just like, meh, they're big sprites. I don't care. 3D is where it's at. And then Doom hit. And after seeing the promises of bedroom coders, because by 1993, that's all it was in the US doing stuff. And even the best that software houses could put out for the Amiga in the early 1990s for first-person shooters, I sold it off, bought a PC just so I could play Doom and other FPSs. But in retrospect, emulating Neo Geo games, Metal Slug specifically, oodles of fun. I love the look of those sprites. Good stuff. 33K7, hello. Metal Slug, absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. Skyrim's a darn good game. It still holds up to this day. 14 years on, 13 years on. Yeah, 13, because it came out 11/11/11, didn't it? What was it? Wasn't that when it dropped? And of course, I have downloaded and I absolutely love the Shadow over Mystara Tower of Doom side scrollers, the CPS2 arcade games for D&D. Because they're side-scrolling, beat-em-up, basic Dungeons and Dragons adventure, basic expert Dungeons and Dragons adventure. They track hit points. It's just, it's silly and it's fun, and I like it. I have one of those little handheld PlayStation things. Was it the PSP? I have one of those kicking around here. I really should get some games and accessories for it one day. So apparently it's really good at emulation. It's a really good handheld emulation deck. Oh my goodness. Okay, 33K7's here to tell us about this. Just got done with their third session of Village of Hamlet. Just got to the Moat House new player group, taking it so slow. Slow is careful. Slow is acceptable. You're perfectly fine. I had the scare of a life today. I got to tell you guys. I could not get my camera. You guys know how erratic things were last night with a video. Today I turned my camera on because I'd shut it off after last night's stream, of course. I went over and I turned it on. And just so you guys know, the camera I'm talking about, do I have a camera close enough to me? No, I don't. It is a Panasonic Lumix G7K 4K DSLR. It is massive overkill for what I do, but I'm future proofed. If I can ever stream in 4K on YouTube, I'm ready to go. Yeah, I turned it on. I turned it on. Light came on, camera didn't. It's done that to me before. And usually the trick is turn it back off, completely unplug the battery dummy. There's no comma there, by the way. I'm not insulting everyone. Completely unplug the battery dummy. That's not what I'm saying. Completely unplug the battery dummy, plug it back in, turn the camera on. You're hunky dory. I went through that, turned it back on. Screen came on, froze, and then flicked off. I don't know about you guys, but I do not have $500 lying around for a new DSLR. Needless to say, I was a little freaked out there. So took a deep breath, took the dummy out, shut the camera off, took the dummy out, waited a few minutes, put it back in, booted it up. Here we are. Didn't need that stress. It doesn't matter if there's a memory card in it if I'm using it as direct video. There may be a memory card in it right now. I knew a kid, Eric Yoder. Eric Yoder. I went to middle school with him. There's a Dragon's Lair machine at the corner of two major roads near the middle school. I'd see Eric in there in the mornings. My dad would stop for coffee and cigarettes, and I'd go in sometimes to get like a chocolate milk or something. And Eric would be in there playing Dragon's Lair. Little truant. He could play that thing on the 2/4 at 8 just until he lost interest in it. And then he'd come to school. He was one of those kids that would like cut class and so on in middle school. It was a different time in the 80s. The one that I liked that like I would go back and play now if I could get like if they made it for the PC was Thayer's Quest. There was a Macintosh version released in the 90s, which they retitled to Shadowne and Shadowne 2, but I don't know if it was ever released for the PC. But it was on a couple of CD-ROMs, and it was the game Thayer's Quest. But I remember seeing that in the arcade, and I was like, this is a computer DM, and you play a Don Bluth cartoon as your D&D campaign. It allegedly had the ability to save games. I don't know what medium they used, but I would go back and try and load a game, and it would never find it. Yes, the arcade version had a very tough membrane keyboard that nonetheless broke down pretty quickly. Yeah, I was not able to save my game. Any of the Laserdisc games were expensive habits. The only one that was easy that I ever played was Firefox. Because it was just a rail shooter, just shoot down, intercept Russian radar beams, and then you'd shoot, it would play sprite detection on top of video clip type stuff. The next easiest was Mach 3 by Milestar. Or Milstar, I'm not sure, Mylstar. And of course, Space Ace, but I was terrible at it, couldn't play it. Cliffhanger, which is Lupin 3, The Castle of Cagliostro, the Laserdisc game. Also terrible at it. But yeah, the flying shooting ones I was good at. Thayer's Quest could not play long enough to get good at, because you'd die and then it'd be like, okay, insert more quarters, and then you know you had seconds to act. Exactly. You could take your best friend to a big museum and show him art and participate in a parade with him, all while avoiding the terrible, for many reasons, school principal. That's wonderful, Kabuki. Mine wouldn't remember me weekend to weekend. Spy Hunter with that little digital it's probably AY 8000 series audio chip in there. Do 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 do. I love playing that on my C64 because the way the game was coded, if you were careful enough, you could ease your car off the road into an area that the screen had nothing on and just drive infinitely. Just watch your score roll over for days. I loved it. Well, I think I've just about hit the wall. Speaking of driving, guys, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Thanks for the deep dive on B3. I hope I satisfied your curiosity about B3. Go get, do you guys need the link to Palace of the Silver Princess, the orange version? The green version, get it from drive-thru. Take these two modules, put them together. You have one great module. If you need the link, tell me now because I'm winding down. FMCS Recon wants. I thought you had the link. You were showing it to me today on Discord. You were saying, "Hey, look, I got the module, Bill." Let's see. It's really easy to find. It's one of those that they practically give away. Here is the link. All of you guys should go and check that out. Again, that is the orange one. It has been put up for grabs for years by Wizards of the Coast. Now, I want to reiterate something before we skate out of here. I do not promote in my audience and social media. I do not promote or tolerate intellectual property theft. I have stuff out there. Someone was telling me the other day, "Oh, I missed the trove." I don't. The truly out of print stuff that was on the trove, you can find with a quick Google search. And that includes the super rare stuff, Warriors of Mars, Bio 1, etc. 99.99999% of the trove was just straight up piracy. Things that I created. I'm not talking about the free modules. I'm not talking about the stuff I give away freely. Things that I created for companies and they paid me and sell were on the trove. I don't promote that at all, ever. But what I do is I will tell you if it's Palace of the Silver Princess, pastel copy of Ghost Tower of Inverness, pastel copy of, or rather the tournament copy of Ghost Tower, or tournament copy of Lost Hemicon, or Lost Sojkonth, or Warriors of Mars, or Orange Palace of the Silver Princess, or Bio 1. All of this stuff is completely unobtainium. It won't be sold. It can't be sold. You'll never see it anywhere. Absolutely, positively ask. I will tell you where to get it. Yes, including the unexpurgated deities and demigods, because that stuff's never coming back in print, ever. And the ludicrous prices that it commands is, well, just that, ludicrous. So with that said, guys, thank you all for being here. I had a fair few super chats. Doc Flamingo, thanks for re-upping. Gonzalo, thank you for continuing to be a member. Thank you for the supers from Gonzalo and Doc Flamingo both. I really appreciate it. I will strive to do better, guys. I will strive to do better. I do care about you all, and I do appreciate what you do to help me keep the lights on around here. So everybody be good to each other. We'll be back tomorrow night with Gamma World. We are continuing the Albuquerque Starport introductory module. So be there for that. Be there for that. Don't miss it. Peace. I'll see you around.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle, way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.